Your Honor, we will be standing silent.
Chose to stand silent at his arraignment. The judge instead forced to enter a not guilty plea rather than the suspect speaking for himself. Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 News at noon. I'm Laura Papetti. Today's court hearing lasted about 15 minutes. The suspect, Bryan Kohberger, did not say much except for answering yes or no when the judge asked him some direct questions. The suspect is now facing 5 felony charges, including burglary and the murders of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. We do have team coverage of today's arraignment live in Moscow. Nicole Hernandez will have reaction to today's hearing, but we begin with Tim Pham. And Tim, you are live there and you were in the courtroom for today's arraignment. Tell us what you know.
Laura, I was inside the courtroom at that arraignment that wrapped up just a couple of hours ago here inside the Latah County Courthouse. You could see at this hour there is still a lot of media here after this arraignment. This was only the second time that we've seen Bryan Kohberger in court since his arrest, the arraignment coming 1 month earlier than any of us thought. Last week, the grand jury, of course, indicted Kohberger, really fast forwarding a lot of this process, skipping that preliminary hearing. We want to show you now a video. This is video of the Gonsalves family walking into the courthouse. You see here Steve and Christy Gonsalves, Kaylee's parents, Olivia, Kaylee's sister, as well as Shannon Gray, the family attorney. As soon as the arraignment began, you could see how difficult this day was for the victims' families. I was actually sitting right behind the Gonsalves family as they watched the suspect sit just feet away from them. So today's arraignment comes about a month earlier than most of us thought this day would happen. And again, that is because the grand jury indicted Kohberger on all charges. They said that there was enough evidence to move forward. In court this morning, the new judge presiding over the case, Judge John Judge, read the charges against him. And this is the first time we've seen or heard from Bryan Kohberger since his first appearance in January. Take a listen.
Do you understand the charge in count 1, burglary?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 2, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 3, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Is Mr. Kohberger prepared to plead to these charges?
Your Honor, we will be standing silent.
And because Mr. Kohberger is standing silent, I'm going to enter not guilty pleas.
Well, as you heard there, Kohberger did not enter a plea. Instead, his attorney, Ann Taylor, said that he is choosing his right to stand silent. So the judge entered not guilty pleas for the murders and set a trial date tentatively for October 2nd of this year at 8:30 in the morning. And Ann Taylor estimating the trial will last about 6 weeks. Nicole Hernandez continues our team coverage right now. She's also live here in Moscow with reaction from the family as well as the family's attorney. Nicole?
Tim, so right now I am live at the Latah County Courthouse, and we did see both the Gonsalves and the Mogen family go into court this morning. After the arraignment, we did get a statement from the Gonsalves family lawyer. Take a look at this. This is what they said in part. Quote, "The family would like to thank everyone for continuing to follow this case and keep the memories of Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan alive. They are what is important, not the defendant." They also said, quote, "This is just the beginning of a long journey for all of the families, and we are thankful for your continued support and coverage," end quote. Now here's some video of the Mogen family leaving the courthouse after the arraignment. They only went to the arraignment and did not stay for the gag order hearing. Deputies did also help the family as they left the courthouse. This was actually the first time we've seen the Mogen family in court, this being Kohberger's 3rd appearance now. The family was quiet and kept to themselves during the proceedings. Besides the family, the courtroom was also packed with journalists and other members of the community. I actually spoke with 2 people who flew all the way from Iceland for this specific arraignment because they've been following this case so closely from all the way over there. In Moscow, Nicole Hernandez, KREM 2 News.
Nicole, thank you for that report. And just about an hour ago, I spoke with Shannon Gray, the Gonsalves family attorney, and he tells me that this is just the beginning of a long journey for all of the victims' families. If you want to stay up to date on all of our coverage from the Moscow murders, you can text the word Moscow to the number 509-448-2000, and we will send a link right to your phone. Reporting live in Moscow, I'm Tim Pham, KREM 2 News.
Thank you very much. And as Tim was saying, there are ways to watch the coverage, including if you would like to see today's arraignment, we have the full hearing available to watch right now on KREM 2 Plus. It is free to download, and you can watch KREM 2 Plus. It is available on Roku and Amazon Fire. As we continue our coverage, a lot going on, and we will continue to post there. There are several deadlines and dates we will be watching for as we move forward with the case. The first deadline is coming up in 60 days. That's how long the prosecution has to decide if they want to seek the death penalty. Then, as we mentioned, the trial itself is scheduled to begin on Monday, October 2nd. That is scheduled right now to begin at 8:30 in the morning. And for more insight on the trial, we have invited John Henry Brown to talk with us live. Brown is a well-known criminal defense attorney, known for several big cases, including for representing Ted Bundy. So, Mr. Brown, thank you for taking the time to join us and talk about this case and what went on today. First, I guess, really give us some insight. What is next for the defense? As, of course, now they have to look ahead and prepare for the trial itself.
Well, what's ahead of us is a lot of work. May I ask, what happened with the gag order? Was that decided?
No, we're told, I believe the gag order has another hearing coming up in June. And so we'll continue to follow that, obviously, closely.
Because I read that pleading, and it's interesting. It'd be interesting how the judge rules on that. The judge certainly has jurisdiction over the parties, the state and the defense, but not over the media and others. But I think that judge, who's not a different judge, clearly is trying to provide a fair trial. What's next is a preliminary hearing. That's where the state has to present evidence by a preponderance of the evidence, not beyond a reasonable doubt, that there's evidence to believe that Mr. Kohberger committed these crimes. Preliminary hearings are really unusual in Washington state, although they happen all the time in many states and the federal government, and a chance where the defense gets to find out more about the case. And so it's an important date. Also, between now and when the state has to indicate whether they're pursuing the death penalty or not, it's a time when plea bargaining goes on quite heavily. Now, of course, that requires willingness on both sides. It requires willingness on the part of the state and willingness on the part of the defendant. And I'm not sure about that. We did do that in Bundy's case, and we did get a plea bargain to save his life, but he rejected it in the long term, which was very foolish, obviously. So, there'll be thousands of pages of discovery, police reports, expert reports, DNA reports, very gruesome medical examiner testimony. It's not going to be a pleasant event for anybody to watch, particularly the victim's family.
Let me ask you a very quick question. We have to wrap it up here, but I know our viewers have to be curious about the decision made to stand silent rather than verbally entering a plea. Can you give us some very quick thought on that?
That's very normal. And there's some people that think that if you say something that could be used against you. Clearly, if he pled guilty, that would have been used against him. But I think there's very little difference between standing silent and entering a not guilty plea, which is what the judge did. And that's not unusual.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, and certainly look forward to checking in with you as we continue through the trial.
Okay. I'm happy to help.
Thank you. It is 12:09 right now. This morning's arraignment wasn't the only hearing in the case today. As you heard us just talk about, the judge also held a hearing on a gag order that prevents many people who are involved with the trial from speaking outside of court. The judge has set a hearing on that gag order. For more information on June 9th at 10:30 in the morning. We'll certainly be following that as well. Also, the family of Madison Mogen is asking people to remember her coming up on Thursday by performing random acts of kindness. May 25th was Madison's birthday, and she would have turned 22 years old this year. Her family says Maddie dedicated her life to spreading joy and kindness, so they are asking people to join them on her birthday to continue Maddie's mission. All you need to do is be kind this Thursday and share it on social media with the hashtag Maddie May Day. We have much more on today's arraignment posted right now on KREM.com, and be sure to join us, of course, tonight on KREM 2 News for further information and stories on 4, 5, and 6 o'clock. That'll include reaction and analysis of today's events. We'll also hear from KREM 2's Amanda Rowley, who was inside the courtroom for today's hearing.